Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am delighted to host this wonderful session with some of my colleagues, old friends, and some of the pioneers of the global Islamic economy right now. People I've known for more than 10 years and who have had an indelible mark on the global Islamic economy for several years, building businesses, enabling enterprise, enabling ecosystems, and teaching Islamic economy for across the world, in fact. And so without further ado, I'd love to introduce some of my panelists who are going to shape and really we're going to get to the bottom of the most important question that's in the minds of many of you, which is the concept of Islamic economy, which has been around for more than 10 years as a new modern contemporary concept that identifies specific economic sectors that are structurally affected by Islamic values. Is that coming to life in a real way? Is there real economic movement happening as a result of the paradigm that was designed more than 10 years ago or defined more than 10 years ago? And for that, I have the pleasure of introducing my fellow panelists. To start off with, I have my friend Rafiuddin Shikoh, the founder and managing director of DinarStandard, the premier, I would say, consulting firm in the world when it comes to the Islamic economy, consulting governments, corporates, and many other organizations in between on the opportunities and potential and the strategy paths forward in this space. He joins us from the United States. I also have with us Dr. Sutan Emir, another friend of mine who I've met more than 15 years ago or so, I would say, in Bahrain when he was a professor at the University College Bahrain, but now he is the leader of the global Islamic economy ecosystem of Indonesia, where he is at the Committee Nasional Economic Kongan Sharia, which is the main economic enabler of the Islamic economy in Indonesia, the largest Muslim country in the world, and arguably the most promising for the Islamic economy in the next few years. And finally, I have my friend from another part of the world in Istanbul joining us and who leads Modanisa, which is again another pioneer in the Islamic economy and which has for many, many years defined the modest fashion movement all over the world and is set to define the broader Islamic economy in terms of e-commerce, potentially for millions of customers all over the world. So thank you all for joining us, and I'm delighted to be attending this session with all of you, like a coffee chat after many years that would never have been possible after probably 9 years. So thank you all for joining.
Thank you. Look forward.
Thank you, Said.
So I wanted to start off. Thank you. I wanted to start off with my friend Rafiuddin Shikoh, who I've known for several years, with a very important and poignant question that I think is in the minds of many individuals in the world, and particularly those engaged in some way or the other with the Islamic economy, which is we've been at this journey as an ecosystem, having launched the Islamic Economy Report just about 9 years ago, little less than 9 years ago. The Islamic economy as a defined concept really came about then, and since then a lot of changes have happened, a lot of investment has moved. But I guess the question that's in the minds of myself and others is, do you actually see movements on the ground when it comes to the Islamic economy? Are transactions being made? Is there a tangible Islamic economy being designed and created in countries around the world? Or is it just a figment of our imagination, which very good strategy consultants can make us believe?
Thank you again. First of all, for that very poignant putting the spotlight on question. Fair question, my friend Syed. But let me start by giving my salams to everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, to all those listening. It's a, looking back maybe a decade now to where the quote unquote Islamic economy. I think our presence here and what we represent is one manifestation of where we are with it. We have Brother Sutan joining us from a relatively new agency setup in the largest Muslim consumer market in the world, Indonesia, who has a dedicated focus on the Islamic economy. We have Kerim from Turkey. If I can say Kerim, you as a global digital proposition that Modanisa has become, headquartered out of Turkey. Myself representing a management consulting firm that is now represented in many of the regions in OIC countries and working with government agencies, private equity funds to sovereign wealth funds, and based out of US, reflective of where we are. So if I start with that, I think the first thing, Syed, that, when we say, oh, where are the numbers? You keep flashing these big billion-dollar, trillion-dollar numbers, but when we look at our startup ecosystem, it's still companies getting funding in maybe multiples of tens of millions at the most. But where are the billions and the trillions that we talk about? And I think we'll get into the numbers later. And I think the headline from me, if you ask, is it's very strong and it's even more relevant today than it was 10 years ago, and it's being manifested. So the first thing is what do you mean by Islamic economy is perhaps the confusion by which people will be like are evaluating where are the numbers versus the actual traction, transaction, investments on the ground. So in some circles, we see this as only the startup ecosystem of the quote unquote Islamic economy. For us, when we talk about the billions and trillions, it's all the big brands and companies, the multinationals that are engaged in it and have been engaged in it, who are driving this multi-billion, trillion-dollar space from the, when we talk about modest fashion space, Kerim, I know you'll talk about it. The players are global, right? So the billions or trillions are there, billions in each of the sectors that we cover. And starting with financial services, secondly, on the tangible real economy side of food and the halal product categories that are truly in themselves over $1 trillion in consumption, to the other lifestyle sectors in entertainment and recreation. When we look at even musalsalats, like the success of Ertugrul as a multi-million-dollar media Islamic economy themed proposition, which is how we see it, to the digital economy of fintechs and others who are now have attracted over hundreds of millions of dollars already, specifically on Islamic value stream. So I think I'm looking forward to hearing from my friends as well. But as a start, I think the case is strong. The last thing I'll say on this is, while we are seeing governments are taking it seriously now, not just Indonesia, but other governments like the major players, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Pakistan, Nigeria, Bangladesh, the big population centers, as well as globally countries in the Americas to Europe, Australia, others. What I will say is, for us as advisors, while we're seeing this real thing happening, what is the next? What is coming next? And I think the role for this Islamic economy in the context of the global climate change crisis, the conflicts we're seeing, the pandemic-induced realization on the importance of the medical and other infrastructure, the political polarization that's happening around the world. I think the question is the role of faith-based economy and how Islamic economy can play a role in that, in ethics and AI and all of these other grander challenges, I think, is really where we are looking forward to. But from the case we've made, we're seeing it being executed now very strongly. Alhamdulillah.
I trust you to always do it justice and over justice, I would say. So thank you for covering more than I asked you to, but thank you for that, Rafi. I guess a follow-up question I will have for you later on is maybe to give me some tangible examples of what you mean by real economy, big picture ones. But what I wanted to move on to someone else, my other friend, Dr. Sutan, who is the master of all ecosystem in when it comes to the Indonesian Islamic economy. And I wanted to understand from Indonesia's perspective as a relative newcomer to have embraced the Islamic economy, given that it's moved from Malaysia to Dubai and Bahrain and then elsewhere to Indonesia, is tell us a little bit about why Indonesia chose to take it on as an important strategic initiative now, despite the fact that there was many opportunities before. And is it real within the context of Indonesia? We know that it has a large Muslim population. We know there's a lot of government impetus behind it. But is there a real economy that's coming out of it outside of our friends like Bank Sharia Mandiri or Al-Alami and the like?
Thank you, Dr. Said Farook. And again, it is a good opportunity for me to meet up and to chat with all of you, especially Dr. Said, whom I know since long time. I've known you since long time. Yeah, coming back to your question, actually, Indonesia came to Islamic economy since long time, but it was driven by the community. Unlike, for example, Malaysia, where the government is really committed to develop Islamic economy since early phase of Islamic economic development. Indonesian government came at the end after they looked at the community. They are serious in developing Islamic economy, and then they realized that there is a potential of new source of economic growth from Islamic economy. So again, I would like to say that it is not new for Indonesian to be involved. In 2015, the government came out with a master plan called Master Plan for Islamic Financial Architecture. And based on this master plan, they recommend the establishment of a dedicated entity, which is called National Committee for Islamic Finance, which is later on becoming National Committee for Islamic Economy and Finance. Why this is becoming very important? At least there are three key drivers. The first one, there is a fast growing and a significant proportion of young Muslim population in Indonesia, known as millennial, and then their awareness of Islamic values and then practicing Islamic values, and also awareness of ethical consumption day by day is becoming higher and higher. And of course, because of that, they started to implement halal lifestyle. So realizing this potential, and they represent more than 60% of Indonesian population. So the government really take care of this one seriously, and then came out with a more comprehensive master plan, which is called Islamic Economic Master Plan. At the moment, halal lifestyle become part of many people here. And during my mother time, for example, Dr. Said, it is very difficult to find women that wear hijab in Indonesia. But now everyone is not everyone, to say everyone, many women in Indonesia, especially the Muslim women, they wear hijab, and it is part of their life. Then not only because the millennial, especially the young generation, they practice this halal lifestyle because of religious factor, but they see halal lifestyle as cool. Yeah. For example, now modest fashion. Many young people, they come to office, they wear Muslim modest fashion, and they also require now Muslim friendly travel. if you go to Bali now, which is notably non-Muslim majority province in Indonesia, it is much easier now to find halal food and musalla than few years ago. Lastly, I look at the importance of digital connectivity. Maybe Kerim later on will discuss in more details. But digitalization plays an important role in creating borderless shopping, especially during the COVID-19. And the demand for digital Islamic economic solution is now gaining momentum, covering various sectors of Islamic economy, including Islamic finance, halal food, halal cosmetic, halal pharmaceutical products. And the higher demand is good opportunities actually for halal industry players. And this is also supported by the government through regulation. Maybe you are aware of in Indonesia, we have Halal Assurance Act, in which starting from 2019, all products produced and distributed in Indonesia must be gradually certified, halal certified, starting from food and beverages in the first phase, and later on, in 2024, followed by cosmetics and pharmaceutical products in the second place. So this is probably why the government is taking more seriously. And there are many realization actually, not only about Bank Syariah Indonesia. The moment we have 3 halal industrial estates, and then we have many halal corners among the halal marketplaces. We have the first Islamic digital payment in Indonesia, and just a few months ago, I think 1 month ago, the Vice President launched the biggest halal research facility in one of the provinces in Indonesia, launched by Vice President, which is operated by National Research and Innovation Agency. Probably this is as an introduction from me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Why did I trust a professor to have the show? Because then he's going to take over and give a lecture for 3 hours. I'm just joking, Professor. Thank you very much, Professor Sutan, Emir. I think what I did want to also say is that, and a follow-up question to you is, are you seeing large organizations in Indonesia, and I'll cover that, actually taking the bait? Are they saying, okay, we will offer new products and services for this? I want you to keep that in the back of your mind when we come around to it. So a little bit of homework for you, Professor. Now I'd like to move to Kerim, who joins us from Turkey. And I guess the question to you is, you're on the digital ground, if I could say so. We in consulting or in strategy, and people like Sutan are, in the sky high ivory towers of doing big thinking. You're actually getting the transactions, right, on the ground. And what I'd love for you to tell us is it real? Are the transactions real? And secondly, is it gaining critical mass, or is it just a niche? So with some numbers, please.
It is. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be together. And it's always a pleasure to serve to the Muslim community. It's my 11th year this year with Modanisa. And the answer to your question in a short way, it's real. I can tell you that. It's and it is just the beginning, as Rafi says, because first of all, we need to define the Islamic economy. There are two ways of defining it. One is the ventures, the enterprises in the Muslim countries, which is obviously a part of the Islamic economy, and the ventures who is serving to the specific needs of the Muslim lifestyle and Muslim values. First, we need to develop the first one, the ventures in the Islamic, is in the Muslim countries. We need to collect together the knowledge base, HR, experience, and most importantly, the winning examples. Saying that, okay, there are unicorns, decacorns are coming from Indonesia, coming from Turkey. this is the first step that we need to take, and we took it. I see great big examples in Indonesia, Gojek, Shopee, Bukalapak. In Turkey, Getir, Hepsi Burada, Trendyol. They are great examples coming out of the Muslim countries. They're also sometimes setting the trends like Getir. They are making the ultra fast grocery service, or Gojek. Those are the big examples coming from the Muslim countries. Then, with this knowledge base, with this attention building of the investors, then the Islamic economy and the ventures who are serving to the specific needs of the Muslim lifestyle will grow faster with that. That the 10 years is in a human life. It's a long journey, but it's for the economies, it's just a start. It was just, putting together the base. Right now, I can tell you from Modanisa, we are reaching out to 130 countries worldwide. And we have more than 5 million customers, not subscribers, customers actually, who bought from Modanisa. We have more than 300 million visitors per year. And we literally, from the scratch, establish together with our partners the modest fashion industry all together. Now, there was nothing, and we created that. Plus, we made the modest fashion weeks also. It is right now an industry. No one can deny it. It's a new fashion movement. And what I see, again, it is just a beginning. And one thing is, sometimes the Islamic ventures, like the Muslim guys, who's going to be taking the advantage of it? Sometimes the others. But the economy is there, the demand is there. And what we are talking about is, in 2030, there will be 900 million middle-class Muslims in the world. This is a very serious number, and it is real, and we will see that it's picking up every day. And there will be a boiling point. Till the water boils, you don't see it.
Thank you so much, Kerim. Really appreciate that. Some very interesting insights.
Yeah.
I did want to add to that is that then, if that's the case, why is it not? I mean, in each of those areas that you're mentioning, whether it's Turkey or it's the GCC or Pakistan even, and Bangladesh and Indonesia, there's a huge amount of venture capital flowing. And I don't mention venture capital within the context of silo, but from the what you call the technology-led e-commerce driven economy. And of course, Rafi mentioned that it's important for us to not just focus on that, but the broader economy, like food and everything else that Islamic economy touches. But why is it that we don't see 20 or 10 companies or 20 companies like you across the board that have been able to grow? What is holding them back, given, to your point, we're seeing decacorns and unicorns coming out of those countries? Has the consciousness of the Islamic economy not permeated to the entrepreneurial class, to businessmen, to people who can service this place? Is that what's restricting them? Or why is it that, or is it just time? It just needs people to it needs to just come down, because you're seeing it in real life. You've taken advantage of it. You're a proselytizer of it. But then you don't see it in other sectors. You're having 200 of Chris's people coming over and staying at your place in Turkey. So certainly there is an Islamic economy, and it's in a number of other sectors. But why is it not happening in the context of other sectors, in terms of companies getting, building high revenue businesses? across other verticals?
It's like sometimes I'm asking the same question to myself too, Dr. Said. The answer to it is, from my point of view, from my angle, when I first look at it, first the money goes for the generalists, for ride hailing, grocery delivery, everything stores. First, the placement of the money goes to those ventures.
What you call copycat business ventures.
Absolutely. Or, very original thing like Getir brings to the world, and that sort of stuff. It is easy to sell to the venture capitalists because you don't need to discriminate Muslim or non-Muslim. It's human. They buy shoes. That's it. Or they want to share a ride, whatever it is. It's a copy. It's proven method, and it's the proven model is there, and that's it. This is the first thing. Copycats easy to. No one asks you.
Understand? Yeah. No one understands the Uber of something.
Yeah. It's like easy to invest in Kerim. Well, there is Uber.
Yes.
This is the first thing. The second thing is, most of the times, being global is a very tough thing to be. Okay, and it's like now look around. Like even Amazon has pains to be global, and if you are serving to the Muslim lifestyle economy, if you go to Europe, there's 15-20 million people. It's very high purchasing power, but it's 15. In Germany, it's 6. In UK, it's 3 million.
Yeah.
Okay, and there are also differences. One of them is Muslim minorities. The other one is Muslim countries. And for example, if you are selling halal food in a Muslim country, it doesn't mean anything to you, to anyone, because everything in Turkey, when you go out, is halal. But if it's not the same case in London. Therefore, you need to find fragmented segments in the society and combine them together and make a global proposition out of that if you want to go for a halal food, and which is not easy every time. That's why coming to a critical mass is a problem, and the venture capitalists are watching closely if we can get there or not.
Good. That's a good segue to something that I'd like to ask Rafiuddin Shikoh from DinarStandard is, can you mentioned critical mass and size, right? Are there sizable parts that are investment ready, big opportunity sets where there's billions of dollars to be made, investments to be had, and what you call concentration or opportunities for consolidation of some sort to serve this global economy, or even a regional sub-segment of it? Is there in the sectors that you see?
Sure. So I want to, in the spirit of conversation, just kind of, reflect on what Kerim said and some of the things what Sutan said, and address your point that was Sayed. So Kerim, very interesting points. This is, as you said, being immersed in this space, we see this is real, right? But then on the other hand, to say it's valid question, but then why aren't we seeing, if we say the excitement around this unique proposition of Islamic values-based proposition, by the way, not just for Muslims, but for the world today, the ethical finance proposition of Islamic finance or participation finance is relevant to a global, sustainable, and impact investment audience, ethical investment audience. Same thing on modest fashion, the values with which modesty is espoused is not just unique to Muslims, or the fair trade that you practice, etc., is not just unique to Muslims. So same thing on food, etc. But I think what I like, Kerim, a couple of things that you highlighted is and it links to Sayed's real question is, where is it? Where are the big nuggets? And we have this whole entrepreneurial community is still struggling to break through a glass ceiling, seemingly. And why is there this big gap between the other major players who are leveraging this? So Kerim's couple of points I think speak to this. Number one, role models. And when I say role models, I mean success stories, right? Which also play to investors. So more successes like Modanisa, Wahid, and others we see who have some direct outward, some direct reflection of this Muslim themed or Muslim values, modesty as a proposition. Because, you know, Kerim, as you've done so very well, and we see in the journey of many startups or ventures in Southeast Asia who started very directly labeling themselves as a company for Muslims only to being something that is of a global universal nature, having more role models. And I just want to second this point, Syed, first of all, on why we don't have the successes. So I think the more success stories, and mashallah, we're seeing them, but I agree in the last 10 years, we should be seeing more success stories. Secondly, Kerim pointed out to another very vital thing is the fundamental skill sets. You know, Kerim, you said within our countries or the core markets of the Muslim markets, Turkey, Indonesia, and Indonesia also same problem, because, you know, we've been involved in the strategy work in Indonesia. The fundamentals of competitiveness, of being able to produce quality products at the level of a global multinational being able to produce is missing, right? That's what you mean, Kerim, by when you say, well, we need to have the foundation basis of our innovation capabilities, our product innovation, being able to understand the consumer needs, and then being able to innovate and being the best at innovating, marketing,
quality levels,
right? Yeah, creating brands and delivering high quality that we trust today. So I would second Kerim's point, Syed, first of all, on why not, and then now coming to your point about where are the big nuggets. The big nuggets are right under our nose. They've been there, and we've been talking about them. You know, so when we and they're not necessarily those who are saying we're only for Muslims, and I think that's the key. So if you look at who are saying, so it's the Savolas of our region, it's the Almarais of our market, it's the Indo Food, it's Ulker, Yildiz Holding, in, you know, these are all Islamic values addressing businesses. Beam, Kerim, as you know very much, and you know we know well as one of the leading retailers, or Lulu from UAE. So Syed, these are the players who are deriving billions of dollars of revenue. They espouse this Islamic value system of halal lifestyle while appealing to a universal audience. So I think, and these are just a few examples, you know, you have thousands of these players. Even in fashion, Kerim, when we look at the digital to the analog landscape, you know, brands such as Mavis from Turkey, or
SCYK.
Exactly. So I think when you have these brands, or Khadi from Pakistan, Syed, you know, these are, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars in annual revenue. These are from these countries. They are delivering modest fashion. They're just not labeling themselves as such. And I think we need to engage them more, actually. And they are starting, you know, in Malaysia, we see Lulu, and Indonesia, Lulu, which is from UAE. Now they're expanding. They're based on a halal value chain. They're developing the value chain. They're helping the supply chain. So I think there is a bit of a disconnect between the major players that do exist within the Muslim majority countries. That can be actually the role models, Kerim. There are maybe the role models. What do you think?
I might add to Rafi, Dr. Syed, a bit.
Please.
Yeah, I think I agree with Kerim and also Rafi. All the companies need to start from generalists and then consider the halal or Islamic value as extended services. Because, for example, like Warda Cosmetic, it is one of the famous brand here in Indonesia and also in Southeast Asia. They never actually declare officially that they are, dedicated halal cosmetics. But as I mentioned to you, since the people awareness of Islamic values increasing, halal lifestyle becoming part of their life. So, for example, those who wear hijab, they really need cosmetic that halal certified, and Warda came at the right time. And at one time, Dr. Nurhayati Subakat, she mentioned that the turning point, which is the founder of Warda, the turning point of Warda sales when the hijabers community flourish. Hijabers is for those who wear hijab. We call it here hijabers. Hijabers community flourish, yeah? And then they demand dedicated cosmetic, and Warda came at the right time, and then now become one of the biggest cosmetic companies in the country. This is my additional point.
Thank you. And so I guess I'm conscious of the time, and it's been a brilliant and interesting conversation with some profoundly important and genuine trailblazers in your markets. I guess, if you're saying that we're kind of seeing this economy and it's already existing, where are the points of excitement within this? Where is the action happening? Where are the places that you're like really excited? This is going to probably deliver us the promised land in terms of visibility, size, and potentially a winner that is seen to be not from a government side, because I know from a government side we've got a lot of champions, but from a kind of commercial or corporate side, that these are the sectors where we think that there's a critical mass of entrepreneurial pizzazz and ownership of the Islamic economy as a concept as well. Because I think, to your point, you might be doing a lot of things Islamic economy, but you don't want to wear that label because you're addressing a market, and that's ultimately it. And that's what a lot of probably companies in a lot of these markets do. But I see, and I give you an example of, and our friend Dr. Sutan is Dima in Indonesia. He really owns the Islamic economy in everything he does, right? And he's just a fintech startup, but you can see it very visibly in the way he leads it, right? When do you think those kind of champions will come about that will then attract a universe of funders and the like? Which sectors?
Yeah.
All
I think
right.
from my perspective, at the moment, the promising sector is what Islamic economy needs to establish is strong digital ecosystem. I think this is very important to sustain the positive trend, and optimal use of digital technology. It has been proven to help customers to access Islamic economic products and services easily and quickly at competitive prices. And especially during pandemic, this pandemic actually there is a blessing in disguise. Yeah, the pandemic has brought significant impacts also on many industries, but those who can implement good digitalization strategy or digitalization initiative, they will survive and they will stay competitive in the market. And next thing that it is very important, it also has been proven, Dr. Said, by Warda again. Warda during pandemic, they made quick digital transformation decision in 2020. They launched new normal needs products through online channels. They are optimizing their social media campaign. They are listing their product in marketplaces, and not only in all marketplaces. And they are also distributing e-product catalog. They use Instagram and WhatsApp selling. And then with those initiatives, they still manage to increase their sales up to reach 40% of the market especially for makeup, makeup segment, and manage to maintain their position as the market leader in our cosmetic segment. And another thing which is very important for the future is ESG. In line with the Sustainable Development Goals, we know that Islamic economy must adapt into this concept. And actually, we know Islamic economic principles are already in line with ESG and sustainable development concept. So, for example, in modest fashion, the use of environmentally friendly materials to avoid environmental damage is slowly but surely adopted by most modest fashion producer in Indonesia. And even for example, cosmetic, they also declare that they are not using cosmetics testing to animal and also avoid materials that will destroy environment. And the last, for Muslim-friendly tourism, they are now shifting towards more sustainable environmental concept. If you go to West Nusa Tenggara, Lombok, which is one of the famous Muslim-friendly travel destination, several tourism sites have encouraged the visitors to put their garbage into separate rubbish bin types. And some Sharia-compliant hotels have also implemented zero waste by not serving plastic-made bottle or inside water, inside their hotel rooms. This probably the future, in my opinion, Dr. Said.
Okay, thank you. A follow-up question for you. What's your commission from Warda? 50% or 60%? I'm just pulling your like.
Please, he comes from the same region with me, Padang.
I knew it.
Yeah,
I know all of you become
I,
rich together.
I was trying to keep my lips closed because yes, I get a commission from Warda too, and I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan, and I think it's one of the role model brands that is coming out of the Islamic economy and countries as well. So,
awesome. But Rafi, you wanted to follow up? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, as we're wrapping up, from me, I would like to add a couple of significant, where, mashallah, between Kerim, Sutan, and yourself, we've been passionate about this space. And I think just to kind of conclude, I think for the Islamic economy to be relevant to the world going forward, and I think its relevance needs to be envisioned. Kerim, 10 years ago, as you said, modest fashion, yourself, other players really envisioned something and executed and delivered. And now I think if the vision was not presented well and articulated and exampled, we may not have seen what we have on modest fashion today. Okay. So I think similarly, we need to present the next vision. And for me, two major things. One is we have to be clearly articulate not just a follower strategy, but what is the leadership strategy at a global level of the Islamic ethical economy? This is very important. What is your USP? What is your value to the world? I think this is very important. It might sound, hodgepodge, but I think without this, Kerim will agree with me, and Sutan, we as brand, and yourself as well, brand builders, you got to have you have to think big. You have to have a global value proposition. And in fact, this is the ethos of our Islamic economy, right? We have to serve humanity. We're not here just to serve Muslims. So I think what is the USP? And the Islamic economy has a very strong USP to the world today. It's very relevant, right? And I don't want to go into detail. We know the importance of the sustainability, ethical lifestyle, family values. I mean, these are things that are very unique. And I think we need to hit on that branding at a global level. It's not just tactical. So for me, digitization is not the driver, actually, if I can be a little bit controversial. Getting sucked into the fascination of NFTs and blockchain, so forth. These are incredible, innovative enablers, but this doesn't shape our value proposition. I think we need to have, first of all, very clear value proposition from which your innovation will come. So how do you innovate as a product? I'm a big fan of Peter Drucker. Those who follow Peter Drucker says too.
You're showing your age now.
Yeah, I am showing my age. And I don't want to say Elon Musk or Bill Gates. That would make me more relevant. But I think, yes, dating myself. But, or the book, those who have studied and those brands who have lasted for over 100 years today, who are the global brands who are lasting and are growing. It says there are two functions of a business leader: innovation and marketing. And I think we need to focus on that. From that, your understanding of customers. Who are our customers? What do they want? Today, the demographic of this values-based ecosystem is very young. yes, digitization is the anchor of the channel and enabler, but the vision is needed. So to me, that's where I feel, to add to Sultan's point, I would add to it, would be the pieces.
Thank you, Rafi. I always learn something from you, even though you're my partner. Kerim, any last parting thoughts when it comes to the frontiers for the Islamic economy?
What I see is the every day I wake up with the same enthusiasm as it's a chance to empower Muslims by serving Muslims. It's a great feeling for me. First of all, what we do was expanding the social reach of the Muslim women. What we are doing, it's our core is to expand the social bandwidth of the Muslim women, equalizing their reach in the society is the core at Modanisa. First, I can tell you that. What else I can tell you? Like Warda and Modanisa needs to be together. We need to learn how to collaborate, and there needs to be bodies like DinarStandard, like you guys, to collaborate them together, and to maybe a consolidation needs to be there, because what we have reached is 5 million customers today. It's a critical mass. And what we have reached is 300 million visits per year. It's another critical mass. And we have the muscles of sending items to 130 countries. This is another critical ability to reach out to the Muslim crowd. Then, and another Muslim-friendly tourism company and Modanisa needs to come together and work together. And the Indonesian government and Modanisa needs to come together and work together. It's when we combine our strengths, this is the only way that we can show a great faith-based economy success to the world. Then we can attract money, and then there will be other people saying, "Me too, we can do the same thing."
That's excellent. Yes, that's a very good and profound item to close the event with. When trailblazers come together in Indonesia to shape the future economy. And with that, we are cross-promoting our event that Crescent Rating will support us with in Indonesia, hopefully very soon, with the support of KNEKS, which I will invite you to, of course, Kerim, but also others. But I'd love to thank you all. I'm conscious of the time, but we've done a wonderful job, and I'm really appreciative of all your unique insights. And I think you shared some of the kind of key items that I feel resonate with a lot of us. Before I came to this session, I was not convinced. I was not a believer, but now I am. Thank you. Just joking. But
Okay.
We all need to renew our niyas every day, right? We need to
renew our faith.
Morning, so.
Every time I hear from Rafi, I'm like, oh yeah, you're the fantastic believer. So I have to convince myself from other people other than Rafi, who's he's a profound believer, let's just say. But anyway,
we need to come together once in a while to support each other.
Correct. We do, absolutely. And I appreciate all of your unique insights. And you're right. I think there is an opportunity to do things en masse and together. And I think that's where we need to go. And I think, as you've all mentioned, there are unique kind of pockets that are developing where large organizations like Warda and others, and like yourselves, will reach that critical mass and then enhance the awareness of that space. And we saw that with what you did in championing modest fashion, and it brought a whole wave of large companies to that space as well, all over the world. And I'm sure we're going to see it across the other sectors as well. So with that in mind,
one thing I want to add, if you let me,
sure.
Said, is Sutan was talking about the modest travel, it's like Muslim-friendly travel, halal tourism, and like we should come together and advertise the spots in Indonesia. We need to be together. We need to talk not every month to see what I can do for you and what you can do for me, and that's how we collaborate and make the pie bigger.
Right.
You're absolutely correct.
Right. So I think as KNEKS, as the project manager role, to bring the players and connect with players like Modanisa together, I think is if I can just connect that dot to Kerim's point, agree. And I know we're closing. I from my side, I wanted to thank Crescent Rating as well. Mashallah, Fazal and his team have been a pioneer and with us in the journey from the beginning. So also want to extend my thanks to them.
Thank you, and I really appreciate it. Jazakallah khair for all of you, and for our audience for listening in for 50 minutes of Brother Rafi's diatribe or Professor Sultan's lecture and Kerim's sales pitch. So I appreciate all of you doing a great job and enriching us with your conversations. Thank you.